What if a single photograph, hidden for 50 years, had the power to bring back a friendship thought lost forever? Imagine finding an image of your younger self, smiling beside someone you haven't seen in half a century. At first, it looks like just a piece of paper, but then you realize it's a message from the past. This isn't just about an old photograph. It's about how time hides what we once cherished, only to return it when we least expect it. A forgotten image, waiting patiently in silence, holding memories, promises, and unanswered questions. Stay with me, because what you're about to discover is more than a story of the past. It's proof that even after 50 years, destiny finds a way to reunite what truly matters. It was a cloudy afternoon when Thomas, now in his 70s, decided to clean the attic of his childhood home. Dust rose like a fog with every box he opened, each filled with relics of a past he had almost forgotten. Old journals, yellowed letters, broken toys. And then, at the bottom of a box he hadn't touched in decades, he found it. A photograph. The edges were curled, the colors faded, but the moment it captured was alive. Two young men, barely 20, stood with arms around each other's shoulders, laughing under the bright summer sun. Thomas stared at it for a long time, his hands trembling. One of those faces was his own. The other belonged to David, the friend he hadn't seen in more than 50 years. That picture was not just an image. It was a door, one that opened directly into a part of his life he thought was gone forever. Thomas and David had been inseparable in their youth. They met in school, two dreamers who believed the world was waiting for them. Together, they planned adventures, shared secrets, and promised that nothing would separate them. On weekends, they would ride bicycles until dusk, talking about their dreams and futures that seemed endless. But life has a way of testing even the strongest bonds. After graduation, David moved to another city, chasing a job opportunity. Thomas stayed, building a different life. At first, they wrote letters, long ones filled with details of daily life and dreams for the future. But as the years went by, the letters became fewer, the words shorter, until one day, silence remained. Yet, deep inside, Thomas had never stopped wondering. Where is he now? What became of him? The photograph in his hands reopened those questions with the force of a tidal wave. Thomas sat by the window, the photograph resting on his lap. 50 years, an entire lifetime. He had married, raised children, and now had grandchildren of his own. He had faced loss, joy, routine, and change. Yet looking at that image, he realized that part of him had been left behind with that friendship. Memories surfaced vividly. The sound of their laughter, the warmth of the sun on their bike rides, the smell of freshly cut grass in the summer air. Those were not just memories. They were pieces of a self he had almost forgotten existed. The photograph was more than paper. It was a mirror reflecting the young man he once was. And for the first time in decades, he felt the urge to know. Was David still alive? Did he remember those days too? Or had time buried those memories forever? Driven by an emotion he could barely explain, Thomas began searching. He asked neighbors who had known David, looked through old address books, and even contacted the local library for archived records. Most leads went nowhere. People had moved, addresses had changed, and some had passed away. But Thomas didn't stop. With the help of his grandson, he searched online databases, social networks, even old alumni groups. Each small clue gave him hope. After weeks of trying, a name surfaced. David Reynolds, listed in a community newsletter from another town not far away. His heart raced. Could it be him? 50 years had changed everything. Hair turned gray, faces lined with age. But names still carried stories. Thomas finally found a phone number. He dialed with shaking hands, unsure of what to say. The line rang, and then a voice answered, older, slower, but strangely familiar. "Hello." "David," Thomas whispered, his throat tight. Silence followed. Then the voice spoke again, this time with disbelief. "Thomas, is it really you?" The moment was surreal. Decades of silence dissolved in an instant, replaced by recognition that went deeper than time. They talked for hours that night about families, jobs, losses, and memories. But above all, they talked about the bond that had never truly broken. A week later, Thomas drove to meet David in person. When they finally saw each other, the years melted away. Wrinkles, white hair, slower steps, none of it mattered. The same laughter returned, the same warmth, the same friendship. It was as if the photograph had waited patiently for the perfect moment to bring them together again. They shared stories, relived adventures, and even laughed at how stubborn life had been in keeping them apart. Thomas realized something powerful that day. The photograph had not been lost, it had been waiting. As they sat together, the photograph lying between them on the table, both men knew this was more than a coincidence. It was destiny's way of reminding them that true friendship does not vanish. It may sleep hidden in time, but it never disappears. And that's the lesson for all of us. How many photographs, letters, or memories lie hidden in our homes, waiting to reconnect us to something important? How many names do we carry in our hearts, unsure if we'll ever see them again? Perhaps life doesn't always erase. Sometimes it just pauses, giving us the chance to rediscover what truly matters. How many forgotten photographs are hidden in your home right now? How many memories are waiting in silence, ready to remind you of who you once were and who you still are? Life has a way of pausing what we think is lost, only to return it at the exact moment we need it most. But here's the question: if you found a piece of your past today, would you have the courage to reopen it? If this story touched your heart, I want to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comments. What memory would you love to relive? And don't forget, subscribe to Golden Lane and activate the bell, because here, every story is a journey into what truly lasts forever.